Hello children, in this video we are going to learn about representation of geographical features. This is available in the 8th standard ICSE board book, Geography first lesson. Okay, let's see. The large scale maps are used for natural and cultural purposes. The geographers, planners, hikers and the defense forces are using these geographical large scale maps. So in this lesson, what are the main topics we have to cover is contour patterns, drainage patterns, settlement patterns, patterns of land use on topographical maps, and also how to locate places on the topographical map using 4 and 6 figure grid references, and how to interpret and analyze the topographical map. Here we have three parts to cover this lesson. In this first part, we are going to see contour patterns and drainage patterns. These are the two topics in this part we have to complete. Okay. Let's see what is contour line. This is nothing but the contour lines are the line drawn on the map that join places having the same height above the sea level. That is the lines which are drawn on the maps to join the places having the same height places we have to join above the sea level. By studying the pattern and density of the contour lines, what we can do? So that is what is the uses of studying the pattern. So pattern, by studying the pattern, we can identify specific landforms such as mountain peaks, ranges, valleys, spurs, passes and waterfalls. So the use of studying the pattern is to identify the specific landforms such as mountain peaks, ranges, valleys, spurs, passes, waterfalls. Okay. So see this picture. Here two types of mountains are given. So two types of contour pictures are also present here in this picture. This first one we have two peaks. In the first picture we have two tops. So one is higher and the another one is shorter than this one. Both are the peaks. Okay. So the contour lines of the same picture we can represent here one concentric circle, and this is also another concentric circle. This is for the first peak and this one the second one for the second peak. So the next picture, in this mountain we have only one peak, that is only one top. So here also we have only one concentric circle, that is the spotlight. Here it is. Okay. So what are the characteristics of contour lines? All contour lines are numbered and drawn at regular intervals. So there is a number space. It is given in meter. So with the regular intervals will be present in meters. The number of the contour lines indicates the height in meters of that area above the sea level. So what is the contour lines? The number drawn in the regular intervals. These regular intervals are represented in meters. That is the height. It indicates, the regular intervals indicates the height of that area above the sea level. The vertical distance or the difference in elevation between two successive contour lines is known as vertical interval or contour interval. Okay, what is vertical interval or contour interval? The vertical distance or the difference in elevation between two successive contour lines. It is known as vertical interval or contour interval. The vertical interval remains constant for any given map. In the maps of the Survey of India, the vertical interval is always 20 meters. So the difference between the two successive contour lines are 20 meters in Indian survey maps. So this is the picture. It is represented here. That is the difference between the two consecutive contour lines. This one contour line and this another contour line. So this is 260 meter and this one is 240 meters. So what is the difference? 260 minus 240 is 20 meters. So in Indian survey, the vertical interval is always 20 meters. So for the representation of these contour lines for a given place which is above the sea level, we can use the difference 20 meters. The unit to represent the contour lines distance is meters and the interval is always 20 meters. Okay. So here two images. This is for horizontal distance between the consecutive contour lines called the horizontal equivalent, indicates the slope of the land. So here E is the horizontal equivalent. So what is the use of this E, horizontal equivalent? That is the distance between two consecutive contour lines called the horizontal equivalent, indicates the slope of the land. So from this area to this area, peak to bottom, top to bottom, there is a slope. So how can we find the slope? Using these contour lines. So closely spaced contour lines indicates steep slopes, while widely spaced lines represent gentle slopes. So there is two types of slopes are there. One is steep slopes and another one is gentle slopes. The steep slopes, closely spaced contour lines. Here this area in this picture, this area is steep slopes. That is, here the contour lines are closely spaced. The distance between the consecutive contour lines are very small comparing with this side. So here there is a broad, widely spaced contour lines and this is very closely spaced contour lines. So why this is happened? Because this is just like a mountain. Uniformly spaced lines depict uniform slopes. So if there is space between the two consecutive lines are same, then that is called uniform slopes. Next part is scrap slope and dip slope. A high land that has a steep slope on one side and a gentle slope on the other side is called escarpment. What is escarpment? That is the mountain which is having the scrap slope and dip slope. What is scrap slope? See here, closely spaced contour lines indicate steep slopes. This is steep slope, while widely spaced lines represent gentle slopes. So escarpment means the mountain, that is the high land which is having one side steep slope and another side gentle slope, that is called escarpment. The steep slope is called scrap slope and is shown by closely spaced contour lines. We already know that. The gentle slope on the other side of the escarpment is called dip slope. It is shown by widely spread contour lines. Next part, hills and mountains. Hills or mountains are shown by contour lines that are arranged in the form of concentric circles. By what we can understand the hills and mountains in the contour lines? Concentric circle. Here this is a concentric circle. These are the examples of concentric circles. Next part, peaks of hills and mountains. Peaks of hills and mountains. That is the peaks. We have to learn about the peaks. These are indicated with the help of spot heights. What is that? Spot heights. So representation of peaks of hills and mountains is in the contour pattern is spot heights. Spot heights are points on a map with their elevation marked beside them. They show the height of the points that lie between contour lines. So here we can see what is spot height. There is a small point represented in the center of this concentric circle. Spot heights are shown the exact height of the point above sea level on the map. Always written in meters with a dot next to it. So At the end of this concentric circle, in the center of this image, we have a dot, that is spot heights. That is the peak of the mountains or hills. Okay. I hope you are very interesting. Next topic, plateaus. See here, we already learned in the previous classes what is plateau. So, plateaus are broad highlands. See, in this picture, the top area is very broad that rises abruptly from the surrounding land. So, from the surrounding land, this raised abruptly. Okay, this is called plateaus. So, the contour lines of this plateau in the center area, we can see that this is for the flat area. They have level almost top is very flat. On topo sheets, there are shown by evenly spaced contour lines. These lines are evenly spaced, surrounding an area with no lines or hardly any lines, signifying that the top is rather flat. Next, cliffs. See this image. Cliffs are very steep, almost vertical. This is the steep area and almost it is vertical rock faces. Okay, they are usually found on the highlands of sea host. This is mostly available in the sea coast area. Contour lines that are very close together and that sometimes even merge to form a single line. Okay, see here, contour lines are very close. This is 300, 400, 400, 500. These three lines are closely formed a single line. That is the cliff area try to form the single line. These three contour lines merges to form a single line, indicates the cliff. So this is not the exact image for this mountain. This, just so this is exact for this one. This is the cliff area. So what is here? This is the contour lines. Then 300, 400, 500 are closely formed together. They are merged together and form a single line. That is, the single line area is called the cliff area. Okay. The closer the contour lines are to each other, the steeper the slope of the cliff. So next is ridges. Ridges are long, narrow, continuous areas of highland. What is ridges? Ridges are the long, narrow, continuous highland. Continuous highland. From here to here it is going. The sides of the ridges ridge slope away from the narrow top on either side. From the narrow top, this is the narrow top. It is the sides of the ridge slope away from the ridge slope. Side is, see here, this one side. These sides are away from the narrow top on either side. The contours formed by a ridge are long, narrow and elliptical in shape. The lines are close together on both sides, indicating steep slopes. This is the top and these are the contour lines of the two sides. So this is the narrow part and this one side. This is very far away from this narrow part. This is also another side. Okay. Next is spurs. Spurs are pieces of hard rock that protrude into river valleys. Protrude from into river valleys. Hard rock. Spurs are the pieces of hard rock that protrude into the river valleys. They form the interlocking pattern. So interlocking pattern means Here this is one rock and this one rock, that is this one rock, this one rock. So these are combined and form the interlocking pattern with the river meandering around them. They often separate one valley from another. The contours of a spur are V-shaped. Here, see here, this is the V-shaped valley. V-shaped valley. The contours of the spur are V-shaped with the apex of V pointing towards the lower elevation. Okay, this is the contour lines for the river valley. Okay. Next, what is valleys? Valleys are V-shaped lower lands between the two highlands. In the last image here, in this image, here this image, two hills, two highlands. This one highland and this one highland. The valley is usually occupied by the river or a stream. This is the valley in between the two highlands. Okay, V-shaped contour with apex of the V pointing towards higher elevation indicates the valley. Thus, while both spurs and valleys are indicated by V-shaped contour lines, the apex of the V points towards the highland for valleys and downwards for spurs. So highland upstream, that is denoted by upstream for valleys and downwards for the spurs. Next one, passes. What is passes? This is the path, just like a path. Passes are low points or openings between two peaks. Here one peak and one peak here is hidden. So this is the passes in the range of mountains. Okay. They provide passage across the mountain ranges. They are indicated on contour maps by empty spaces between two closed contour lines that represent peaks. Next, calls. What is calls? Calls are dips in the summit line of mountain ranges. They are formed by the erosive action of glaciers. The col is more rugged and difficult to cross than pass. Pass is easily we can pass across the pass, but in the col is also just like a pass, but it is very rugged and it is little difficult to cross than the pass. The south col. This is the south col. For example, is a dip between Mount Everest and Lhotse. What is call? Calls are the dips in the summit line of mountain range. Okay. So example for the calls is South Call. This is the dip between Mount Everest and Lhotse, two of the highest mountain peaks in the world. So one is first, these two are the biggest mountain, that is Everest and Lhotse. There is in between these two mountains, highlands, there is a call. That is called South Call. The South Call is the one of the final camps of mountaineers attempting the climb Everest. So for the Everest climbers, this is the final camp. South Call is the final camp of the mountaineers. Okay. Next one, saddles. The saddle is a dip or low point between two summits. So this is the one summit and this is another summit. See here, this is one summit and this is one summit there. So the place between the dip or low point between the two summit. The saddle usually has higher ground on two sides. Usually there is a two higher ground on two sides and lower ground on the other two sides. Okay, lower ground on the other two sides, here and there. On the topo sheet, it is indicated by contour lines that appear like a hourglass. This is just like hourglass. So this is the summit to higher land summit. So this is the gap between. Saddle is usually has a higher ground on two sides and lower here and there, lower ground on the other two sides. On a topo sheet, it is just like a hourglass. Next, gaps. So what is gaps? Gaps are the low areas between two mountain ranges. So this is one mountain and this is one mountain, and the distance between the gaps between the two mountain ranges. The gaps are low areas between the two mountain ranges. Gaps are usually carved by the erosive action of rivers and streams. In some cases, they still have streams or rivers flowing through them. The gap is similar to pass, but as a result of erosion. The gaps is nothing but the pass, but it is due to the erosion. It is formed, the gaps are formed due to the erosion. Its base is closer to the valley floor than that of pass. The gap's base is closer to the valley. Okay. Next, drainage patterns in topographical maps can also be used in understand the type of drainage pattern on the area under study. Okay, what are the types of drainage? So before that, we can see drainage pattern refers to the patterns formed by a river and its tributaries in a particular drainage basin. It is influenced by the relief of the land, the nature of rocks, and the gradient or slope of the land. It is influenced by the relief of the land, the nature of the rock, and the slope of the land. So then the types of drainage patterns, what are that? Dendritic, radial, and trellised. These are the three types. Okay. What is dendritic? Here the main river and its tributaries form the pattern like that of branching tree. This is seen in the area of flat relief with rocks of uniform structure. This is just like a branching tree. Okay, what is dendritic? This is a kind of drainage pattern and it is just like a branching tree. Next, radial. Here the rivers and streams flow outwards from the central point. So from the central points in the two, from this is mountain. From the central part, the river flow two sides flow outwards from the central point, forming the pattern that looks like the spokes of the wheels. This is mainly seen in the area where conical mountains exist. This is almost available in the type of conical mountains. Okay, ma'am. Trellised. Here the rivers flow in the rectangular pattern. This is seen in the areas where there are alternating bands of hard and soft rock, forcing the rivers to flow along the bands of soft rock. The tributaries join the main river at the right angles.